All right, guys. I've been talking about it for a while now. I've been hinting at it. I've been nudging at it. I have been thinking about upgrading my living situation a little bit. You see, my apartment, well, I very much do love it. It is quite small. Space, privacy, things like that are a little bit of a problem. And for a long time now, I've wanted to upgrade to a house for rent. Not to buying a house. Of course, I could never afford to do that. Not at least now, I couldn't. But I could certainly, I thought, afford to rent a house. You know, within a certainly higher price range than what I was paying currently, or what I am paying currently, and what I was paying then when I started thinking about this. But I'm cool with like upping my rent a bit if it means a significant improvement to my quality of life and the scale and scope of what I can do for fun and for hobbies and whatnot. So I started looking at places in the Coachella Valley, the area that I live in, to potentially rent. And repeatedly I found myself disappointed by what I was finding. Very expensive places that were just not very good. Everything that was even close to within my like standard of where that was close that everything that was in the standard of where it needed to be was way too expensive. So, I broadened my search to Washington State. Basically everything from southwest of Seattle in a kidney bean shape all the way to the east and up northeast of Seattle up into like the more kind of foresty area where it's a little bit more rural. I sorted for houses that are for rent, that are 2 to 3 bed, 1 bath, and I started with cheapest to most expensive and worked my way up to the low 2000s. Now, to give you an idea, the kinds of places that I would want to get in the Coachella Valley, we're going for roughly 4,800 a month for what I was looking at. In Washington State, in the like southeast of Seattle area, like right up to where it starts to become like more nature. Well, guess what? There is a shit ton of places that are like 2,000 to 2,200 a month that are anywhere between 950 to 1,500 square feet, have a nice fenced in backyard. Everything is set. Appliances are included. So washer, dryer, hot water heater, not central AC. I have to get, if I move to Washington State, without a doubt, I'm going to have to get those AC things. However, Washington State's a lot cooler than where I'm used to, so I don't have to run those things 24/7 to keep the place cool, thankfully. Like, heating will be the bigger concern. I'll need to get space heaters. But the places I was looking at were absolutely in the price range. And the reason why Seattle was my first pick, well, the number one reason why Seattle is my first pick is because it is the best place to be if you are a controversial streamer, which I am. The Seattle PD, the Seattle Police Department, has a pretty much the only system in the country, I believe, specifically set up to help prevent YouTubers and streamers from getting swatted. And I believe they also have some protections to help prevent doxing as well. So it's just generally super beneficial for your security as an online public figure to live in Seattle. Just the general, like the government, the police department there, they offer you a lot of stuff as a public figure online that's just really helpful. Number two, a lot of my friends are there. Not to mention, I've got a bunch of friends that are not necessarily in Seattle, but are like really close. I've got multiple friends that are literally in British Columbia, right across the border from Seattle. I've got friends that are not far from that area in Canada and in like the more like west, like in what you would start to consider Midwest area. Like, I'm going to be a lot closer to just generally where my friends are. I do have friends like out here in California and back in Palm Springs, like around LA and everything. But if I'm being honest, I feel like I have a higher concentration of friends in Washington State. And most of all, the market for renting houses is just so much better. I want to start raising Coturnix quail, jumbo Coturnix quail to be specific, for their eggs. And I don't want to do that in a blisteringly hot 115 degrees most days of the summer desert yard, when instead I can move up to Washington State and have a beautiful yard that's way cheaper, a beautiful place that's with a beautiful yard that's way cheaper, that's nice with nice grass and rain, and guess what? Snow. Fucking snow. That's going to be exciting. I love snow, and I've only seen it a few times in my life, but I'm so excited. There's a lot of reasons to pick Washington State over continuing to stay in California. And my current plan is it's not set in stone, so don't get your ball sacks in a bundle over this if it doesn't work out exactly as I say, please, okay? My current goal is to save up moving expenses by October to move everything up to not only rent a house, pay for first month rent deposit, moving costs, utilities, literally like having a couple months of bills already and rent already saved and ready like in the account when we're moved in by October. I'd like it to be like long-term stretch goal by the end of the year, like by New Year's, moved in. But like best case scenario, like if me and Sherry continue to really push out content, like double uploads every day, they keep getting views, streams keep getting decent amount of donations consistently, we overall just like keep working hard. I think I'm optimistic that by October it's possible I could like start the process of like, all right, it's time to find the house. And that's not going to be a long search process. I found my current apartment in a day. Me and Lonnie were driving around town looking for apartments, and I said, "Hey Lonnie, look, there's an apartment. That place is renting." And she was like, "Okay, let's check it out." So we pulled into this apartment complex, and they were doing an open tour. We opened the front door of this place. We knew instantly it was perfect. 2-bed, 2-bath, all. And just the aesthetic of it all and like the layout is perfect. And it was only $1,600 a month, which is expensive to be sure, but especially during COVID, about as good as it gets in the Coachella Valley. About as fucking good as it gets. About as fucking cheap as you can really go in that area. But now, well, yes, I'd be upping, my rent by quite a few $100s, $600 to $700. I'm not going to go more than $600 up. That in Washington State gets you some really nice places, so I wouldn't be paying much more, and I'd be in a place where the opportunities as a streamer and just generally for like stuff that I'm into are just so much more open. So that is the plan. And a big part of that is that I plan to raise jumbo Coturnix quail for their eggs and make it part of their content. And so this is a little flash forward into the future of what some of my content's going to be like. This is how to collect quail eggs and other tips by Self-Sufficient Me. I'm going to drop a like on the video, as should you.
G'day, I'm Mark from Self-Sufficient Me, and I'm down here at my quail pen this afternoon, and this video is about how to collect quail eggs.
Quail.
Well, it's been a big day and it's getting a little bit late,
Ooh,
so
dizzy.
before it gets dark, I better get into collecting these eggs. So while I'm collecting the eggs, I'll go through all the important points you need to know when collecting quail eggs.
Quail.
First of all, when you're collecting
No.
quail eggs, it's important to note they could be anywhere, so be careful where you step.
Hold on, wait. Let's hear how he said no again. Let's hear how he said no.
It's important to note they could be anywhere. First of
Quail eggs. To know when you need to know, 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 you need to know.
No. See? Australians say no, and then New Zealanders say no. Yeah. I told you. That's how you tell them apart.
When collecting quail eggs.
First of all, when you're collecting quail eggs, it's important to note they could be anywhere, so be careful where you step around. Over years of inbreeding and domestication since the ancient Egyptians,
Inbreeding.
that's why they're sometimes called pharaoh quail. 6,000 years ago, they're the oldest poultry breed known to humans.
Holy shit.
Essentially, they've forgotten how to sit and incubate on their own eggs. That's why you'll find them around the place. I have
quail are so inbred over the thousands of generations that they've forgotten how to sit and incubate their own eggs. So quail are literally incapable of reproducing, or at least these types of quail, like these kinds that are being used for farming, are literally incapable of reproducing like on their own. You have to collect their eggs and incubate them yourself in an incubator, or they're just gonna rot.
Seen it in the past, very rarely, where a quail will sit on her own eggs. It's interesting. Usually you find that quail eggs are quite difficult to spot, so you have to have a good...
They're so quiet. They're pretty damn quiet. Like, that's as loud as they get. Neighbors complaining is probably not going to be an issue whatsoever as far as noise goes when it comes to raising quail. That's what I'm excited about.
Good look for them. And going back to sitting on the eggs, if they do tend to sit on them for at least 18 days, they'll have to. Between 16 and 18 days is the hatching time for an egg. The offspring or the chicks aren't in really good shape, I have to say, so it's always best to artificially incubate quail eggs, in my opinion anyway. When you're looking for quail eggs, if you do have a little shelter or somewhere special in their cage, somewhere darker, though you may find that they will congregate eggs more in those places. So look under things, look under mulch. You will find little clusters of eggs where they start collecting, and hey, you might even find a clucky quail. Like I said, very rare though. But check under mulch, scrape mulch away, because they will bury the eggs, because they still haven't lost that urge to try to hide their eggs, and that's why the eggs are special colours and different colours. When collecting eggs for incubation or especially eating, discard any eggs that are dirty, like this one, or any ones that are cracked, because that can introduce bacteria and nasty stuff. Any eggs that are chalky, because it's lost its gloss and it can be penetrated then by nasties. And any eggs for incubation's sake that are too small, like that one on the right, or even too large, like the double yolkers you can sometimes get. They look great, but they're no good for incubation. These eggs don't have to be wasted. You can give them to your chickens. Even the dog loves eating them as a doggy snack. But chickens...
My uncle would just get a handful of quail eggs and just stick his hand out, and both of his hound dogs would just, like, vacuum them out of his hand, and there'd be nothing left but a dog's slobber-covered hand. Not even a sound of crunching. They vacuumed the quail eggs down whole. Damn cannibalism? Hound dogs eating quail eggs is cannibalism? Oh, sorry, you mean the chickens eating quail eggs. I'm sorry, chickens and quail are not the same species.
It's great for them. It's extra protein, it's extra calcium. So if you do have chickens, feeding those eggs that you discarded to them is perfect. The quail will also eat their own eggs and shells, but you have to break them. Doing this won't turn quails into egg eaters, because they can't break their own eggs with their own beaks anyway. Besides, it's good for them.
So there we go.
Apparently it's a problem with chickens, where if a chicken figures out that if they crack open one of their eggs, they've got a nice, delicious meal in there, then other chickens will see it and start replicating it, and you'll never be able to collect any eggs because they'll start eating all of their own eggs for the nutrition inside. It's a problem with chickens, but I'm glad to know it's not a problem with quail. It's really good to hear. So, if you are interested in the Xanderhal Quail Arc and you want to follow this, you want to see it through, you want to experience the Xanderhal Quail Arc, then you definitely want to stick around. You want to hit that subscribe button so YouTube tells you when I go live or upload a new video. Turn on all notifications. Follow my social medias linked down below, especially my Twitter. You want to go to my website, xanderhal.com/live, and make it a count. And if you got the money for it, don't need it for anything else, and you don't know what to do with it, you can always donate, subscribe, or gift a sub to somebody over on my website, xanderhal.com/live. You can also support me on YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, and Patreon. With all that said, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And have a good one.